Hello and welcome to Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, a brand new podcast brought to you by EE. We are all trying to live our best life out there, but it's tough. And really, what does it even mean? Well, in this podcast, I get to have an authentic chat to a well-known name about their life as we discover the life hacks and apps they use to create a smarter, happier and more connected existence. I'm focusing on 4 key areas: home, career, curiosity, and how they unwind and have fun. Each conversation is packed with inspiration and practical tips we can all use to help improve our busy lives. Along the way, we might even get a chance to discover a side of our guests we never knew before. Now, you've probably seen my next guest on your TV screens. He's a much-loved, trusted doctor we turn to with our burning health questions, including on ITV's This Morning and now BBC's Morning Live. Not only has he done an outstanding job of making health and wellness exciting and accessible, especially for younger audiences, but he's also been a passionate advocate for mental health, sexual health and LGBTQ+ rights. I am delighted to welcome NHS doctor, BAFTA award-winning TV presenter, a Sunday Times best-selling author, Dr Ranj Singh, to the podcast. Ranj, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like you're the perfect person to be talking to because you are a ray of positivity and generally in life, you're very good at giving good, solid, uplifting advice.
I hope so. It's kind of my job.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't, I suppose, at least competent, I'd be a bit worried. I try.
Well, this podcast is about happiness, joy, bright ideas. We want to give people insights into your life, but also things that they could take and go with in their own everyday lives. And God knows we need it right now.
Right.
So let's start with a really basic question. Let's just take the temperature of how happy you are feeling right now on a scale of 1 to 5.
So right now, I'd say I'm at about 4, which is good, which I think's good.
It's very strong.
But generally in life, which I think is like the overall temperature, maybe a 4.5.
Very positive.
There's always that tiny little room for a bit more.
And also we are allowed to have ups and downs, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, I might be a 2.5 tomorrow. You never know.
No, I can't believe that. I think you're someone who's quite up. Are you quite a positive person?
I try to be. I think it's important. Like, I always tell myself, there's enough pain and negativity in the world as it is, and we all know about it. Many of us are going through it, and we've all got different lives and going through our own stuff. It's really important for me anyway to sometimes try and see the joy in everything, to remind myself that it's not always as bad as I might think it is. And actually, I like to think that it can get better and is better.
Good advice. And there is joy in everything. I'm going to start with a few quick-fire questions, if I may.
Okay.
What's the one thing you do every day to improve your overall happiness?
One thing I do without fail every single day to make me feel like I've achieved something and get me going is make the bed. As soon as I get up. Some people don't.
Who doesn't make the bed?
Oh, there are people out there that don't. It's all about small wins.
Yeah.
So the things that make you feel good on a daily basis don't have to be big achievements. And sometimes, especially if you are going through a tough time, sometimes the smallest things that you can achieve add up.
So go on, what does making the bed do then?
Do you know, it's just laying it out so that it makes the room look better, so you feel like you've done something, you've ticked that first box off your list of things to do for that day, and then when you go back to it at night, it's ready.
Making the bed. Who or what in your life brings you extreme happiness?
Oh gosh, okay, all right. So I've got lots of wonderful people in my life that I credit with being the reason I am, who I am and where I am today. Sandra Marvin, who I'm working with at the moment, who has become this unexpected confidant.
Is this in Anne Juliet's?
Yeah. That has probably given me the most joy, unexpected joy, at a time when I needed it the most. I think.
So just pause there. So let's rewind and explain to everybody listening, in case they don't know, which I'm sure they do, because we are going to go on to the section about work.
Yeah.
Qualified doctor, then we see you on our screens as a presenter /doctor, and then you are now a bona fide musical sensation. And you have just come off tour in Anne Juliet.
Technically still in the middle of the tour. We're halfway through now, and I'm going back, having done it full-time 6 months, going back part-time. Yeah, so I've sort of transitioned from theatre in a hospital sense to theatre in the literal sense. Theatre for me, musical theatre especially, I fell in love with it relatively late in life. And it's always been something that I've dreamed of. It's always been something that I thought, you know what, I wish I'd got a chance to do something like that. I was a musical kid. I loved art, loved music. In fact, singing was the first thing I'd ever been told I was good at. And I never got the opportunity or the privilege to explore it as a kid.
And it is a privilege.
It is.
So, Ranj, if you can define happiness in one sentence, what would it be?
It's realising that you have value and finding the value in what you have. I know it's different for everyone. It's a sense of contentment. It's happiness means different things for different people. But it's recognising and realising that you have value and finding the value in the things that you know and have. That's what I think is a sense of happiness.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I'm going to be pondering on that. It's that sense of value in what you have, because so much of us are like looking elsewhere. Like all of life is, I could just do a bit better. I could just have a bit of that, and I could have a bit, but just be happy with what you've got, right?
And sometimes what you think you want isn't what you need. And when you get to that stage, when you realise what you need, you know what? Life feels a bit better.
Okay, we've got tons of questions to ask you, okay? And we want loads of advice from you because you're the perfect person. Okay, Ranj, you're best known for your profession as a doctor, so it makes sense for us to start with a deeper delve into the world of work.
Yeah.
So, Ranj, as a qualified doctor in the public eye, you've gone through quite a few challenging times, the pandemic being one of them. So how do you deal with the pressure in these types of scenarios? And have you developed any skills that would apply to our audience? Just coping with extreme pressure. And I don't just mean the pandemic. I mean being an emergency paediatrician.
Just generally. Well, different strokes for different folks. I personally find, for me, being as organised as I can be is really helpful. One thing I've started doing recently, I'm one of these people who says yes to everything and then realises how much they've taken on. A friend of mine at work taught me, if it's not an immediate yes, you probably either don't want to do it, so have the confidence to say no, or not yet. So that's a great way to sort of vet, the demands on you. I have what's called a diary declutter. I've started doing that. So when I'm up against a deadline, I've got loads to do and I'm feeling like I'm saturated, I look at my diary and say, right, what do I absolutely need or want to do? Prioritize those. Everything else can wait. Everything else can be rescheduled. What is essential? It frees up so much time and brain space to be able to do that. That's what allows you to cope with stress as well. And then the other thing that I'm really trying to do better at, and I've got better at, is looking after my sleep. People forget about sleep. We spend a third of our life sleeping, and it's the first thing we scrimp on when we're under pressure. And actually, it is the worst thing to scrimp on because sleep is an active process. You don't switch off when you go to bed. Your brain reorganizes, declutters, gets rid of waste products, decides what it's going to store as memory. It works things out. Your body recovers, repairs, grows. People who have better quality sleep have a better quality of life in general. They have a higher pain threshold. They have a lower risk of long-term health conditions like obesity, like cancer, like type 2 diabetes. Sleep is one of my biggest hacks that I think we underestimate. But we really should pay more attention to, and even I can do better.
So no screens in beds, like no telephones.
I'm guilty of that.
Oh, no, there's nothing better than watching a little series, a little Netflix or Amazon or whatever.
Going down a social media hole or doing that last bit of emailing. I'm really guilty of that. I have to be really disciplined and try not to use my phone in the hour before bed. That doesn't always work. Really good trick though. People use their phone as their alarm clock. I'm one of those people. Get an old-fashioned alarm clock back. Yeah. Charge your phone outside your room and have an old-fashioned alarm clock. And if you do need to do something before bed, maybe a bit of reading of a book might be better. Something that doesn't shine light in your eyes.
Good tips. Now, you share health, food and fitness tips on your wonderful social media. So let's talk about the digital space. and your mission to share this important health message with the public. How important is it?
Well, we've grown up in an age where we've seen the birth of the internet. We've seen the birth of social media, and we've seen everything that it can do. And I feel like I've grown with it, and I'm taking advantage of this wonderful platform on a public platform, and I want to do something good with it. At the end of the day, I'm still a doctor at heart. I'm always going to behave like one. I'm always going to think like that. And I'm trying to get stuff out there that people might find useful and helpful. Stuff that we've been talking about today. Hopefully someone's going to find helpful.
Yeah, I love your tips, but I also just like being nosy into your life. I want to know about your home improvements and your love life.
But that's the thing. Also, I think for me, and I remember barking on about this when social media was first born and doctors were kind of, dipping their toe in. I was like, please remember it's called social media for a reason. It's social. Please don't turn it into a workspace, because people want to know who you are. Bring a massive dose of humanity with it and a big dose of personality in it, because I found for me, people respond to me so much better when they feel like I'm approachable, when they feel like I'm just somebody you could chat to in a pub. I'd like to hope they feel like that they can just come up to me and have a chat. And I want to put that across on socials. But also, yeah, sure, I want to show some of the glitz, some of the glam, some of the fun, but I also want to show some of the silliness, some of the real heartful stuff, some of the stuff that I do on a day-to-day. And also, maybe some of the not so fun stuff, maybe some of the serious stuff. It's important to remind people that social media is a certain angle, a viewpoint on the world and on life, and it isn't the whole of life, is it?
Yeah. So let's talk about home.
Yeah.
And what makes it a source of comfort for you? What does home mean to you, first of all?
Home for me is just somewhere where I can go and exhale. That's what home is a place where I can do that. I remember when I first got my keys I live in a flat in London. It was the very first place that I bought by myself. And before that, I'd always lived with family, friends or partners. And I remember just sitting on the floor in this completely blank, empty box and thinking, yeah. And I always, whenever I do that, I always make a pact with my home. I say, look after me and I'll look after you.
And did it look after you?
It has. But yeah, home is somewhere where I go to exhale and just be me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you're talking my language. Tell me more about your childhood home. When you think of it, when you close your eyes, what's the scene?
Oh, noisy, cramped. Grew up in a terraced house. It was just a noisy house, like with 3 boys. My mum at one point had 3 kids under the age of 5. I was like, you're bonkers, and you were working from home.
But how much of that shaped who you are?
I think it just taught me that we didn't have much growing up. We didn't, but it's all that idea of aspiration and dreaming big, working hard and just being kind. And that's what's got me to where I've got to. And obviously, there's been a lot of people before me who I credit with inspiring me, you being one of them, actually, because there weren't many people, remember, when I was growing up, and we are similar ages, so I count us growing up together, where I looked on screen and saw me.
Yeah, it's important.
It's so important. People underestimate it. I always say I walk in the footsteps of giants and I borrowed the wings of angels.
Did you used to shout at the telly when you'd see a brown person? Like shout the house down? Quick, there's an Indian on the telly.
Always people will do that. And the funniest thing is people do that to me now.
Yeah.
I hate being a role model. I hate it.
Why?
Because it makes me feel like there's loads of pressure to be a certain way and to be perfect. But if I can be the reason someone sees themselves in a positive, different way and gives them hope, then why not?
You are a role model. You don't have to be perfect. Like you are just as you are.
Let's be human. Let's try to be good.
Well, that's what makes you such an amazing role model. Like it's the flaws, right? It's when that's what makes you just perfect, Ranj. When you think of home now, what do you think of? Who's there?
Who's there? Just me. I live by myself. And I love living by myself. It's really bad because I don't know how my partner feels about this.
New partner? Can we name check?
Relatively new partner. Well, relatively publicly new partner. Yeah. We had a 2-year dress rehearsal, and then at New Year's I announced to the world, yeah, right, this is the thing. I love living by myself. I love the feeling of being in my own space and being at comfort and peace with myself and everything being exactly where it should be and where I left it. So and not having to tell anyone to pick stuff up or do anything. It's that feeling of being at peace is what I think of as home.
And what about routines? What are your comforting routines?
Comforting routines. Sitting on the sofa with a cup of tea in my onesie.
Your Yorkshire Gold, yeah.
Love that.
In your onesie?
In my onesie.
Come on,
I love a
this is an
onesie. Love a onesie.
Is it a fluffy onesie?
Oh, it's got this like almost sheepskinny interior. It's lovely.
I was going to say, what would you recommend to other people? Is that your recommendation? Get a onesie. I don't have a onesie.
Yeah.
Like a giant adult baby grow.
I would say get a onesie, sit on the sofa with a cup of tea and stare out the window. Daydream.
I'm good at that.
Do that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because at school I was told off so much for staring out the window.
Know, right? Right. So one thing is we have a society and life focused on achievement and getting stuff done and productivity. Sometimes those gaps, those spaces where we breathe are just, if not more important, because that is the time when your brain takes stock. And that is a time when you reflect on things. That is a time when you maybe feel a bit of gratitude for what you've got, or you think about what you need to do and you plan. That downtime is just as important as your productive time. So never feel guilty. I've caught myself feeling guilty at times about having those spaces and those gaps.
Yeah.
Take them, build them into your routine if you can, because sometimes those moments when you are contemplative, when you're staring out of the window, is where you do your best work.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
The message is take those moments. Don't feel bad about having a moment to yourself and just thinking, right, breathe. Maybe make a cup of tea, have a think.
And what appliances do you have in your home, apart from the shower, that make your life easier?
Coffee
Gadgets?
machine.
Yeah.
Love a coffee machine. Air fryer. I've become one of those people that's become obsessed with their air fryer. I tour it.
Should I?
I've been taking it on tour on Aunt Juliet in the back of my car. So I've got I'm touring my air fryer. My coffee machine and my air fryer and my bed.
What do you make on tour with an air fryer?
Everything.
Do they not feed you? Do you not get catering?
No, this is musical theatre.
Oh, right, okay. What, in your hotel room? Next to the tea's made, you've got your air fryer?
Airbnbs. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, my air fryer, and it's one of them really tiny little ones, which actually isn't very expensive at all, and you can just make so much in it, so much. It's been a lifesaver.
Like what?
Oh, chicken tenders. First thing that comes to mind is chicken tenders. And you can make an entire roast dinner in there if you want, apart from the gravy. I wouldn't recommend making gravy in an air fryer.
Oh, it's so funny. I've not yet seen the way of the air fryer. I'm just like, how is it any different to an oven?
Trust me, it's better. And it's more economical.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Electric blankets. I've reached that stage of life where I love an electric blanket. And not only is it more economical because it's cheaper, so heat the person, not the home.
Yes,
absolutely, good. Especially in these times when bills are really high for a lot of people and it's freezing cold outside. Electric blankets have saved my life.
Good tips. This podcast is powered by EE, which has a whole range of smart tech to make home life that little bit easier every day. I love using smart speakers to stay on top of things. Add to your shopping list the moment you remember. Or how about a video doorbell that lets you see who's at the door, even if you're out? Smart tech makes smart living. So, Dr. Ranj, British doctor, television presenter, author, columnist, musical superstar. Together, we're diving into his passion, which is promoting healthy living, and hearing his advice, including tech-savvy tips for making everyday life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this.
Oh, good.
Let's discuss now the idea of learning.
Okay.
And how important it is to constantly be learning new things. So as a doctor and a TV presenter, you're regularly exposed to new medical developments and trends. So what's currently sparking your curiosity in the health world? What's getting you excited?
Oh, my word. There are certain brands of smartwatch out there that can now do a very simple ECG heart tracing, which could actually... They're kind of designed to show things like a condition called atrial fibrillation, which you may not know you have. So it can be really useful. One really good thing for any elderly person out there, I recommended this to a friend of mine. So I grew up in a time where elderly people, if they were at risk of falling, used to wear a pendant alarm around their necks. So if they fell, they could press a button. That requires you to have the pendant alarm. It requires you to know to press it or be able to press it if you do fall.
And predict that you're going to fall.
Yeah. I mean, normally it's once you've fallen, you can press it as well. There are certain brands of smartwatch out there that if you fall, it will ask you, have you fallen? And then if you don't respond, it will call your emergency contacts and inform them. On top of that, they do everything else as well. So I've been recommending them to people saying, do you know what? Rather than just buying a pendant alarm where you have to sometimes subscribe to a service, you could just get them a smartwatch, and it has multifunctional capabilities. It can check their heart rate. It can even check their oxygen levels, and it can tell you if they've fallen and they can't tell you themselves. You know what? They're pretty handy. They're getting better.
You know, there's some amazing tech solutions out there.
Yeah.
And do you use any sort of healthcare apps?
I used to use things like MyFitnessPal just to track my activity and calorie intake when I was, at one point really trying to be health conscious. I don't think tracking your calorie intake necessarily is the best way to do that, but if you want to do that, you can. I've got really into smartwatches lately, and looking at my activity levels and how much I'm, moving every day and how much I'm sleeping and how, getting my heart rate up and things like that. I find that helpful as just a little nudge and a reminder just to get me, doing stuff.
So with everything you juggle, and you have so much on your plate, what's the most surprising or memorable life hack you've learned recently, either in medicine or life generally? The one thing just to help you with everything you've got on your plate.
All right. So I've talked a lot about anxiety and managing anxiety. And when you've got a lot on, it's perfectly natural to feel anxious. But acute anxiety and dealing with it in the moment, which I've started to learn from, for instance, if I'm about to go on stage or on telly or something, breathing exercises, I've started finding really helpful. If you're feeling acutely anxious and you just want to diffuse that feeling immediately, first thing, switching to nasal breathing. If you're feeling stressed, what we instinctively do is start breathing through our mouth.
Oh my God. Do we become mouth breathers? I don't want to be a mouth breather.
No, but it's to get more air in and out, get more oxygen in. There's a biological reason. Simply switching back to nasal breathing, just breathing in and out through your nose, slows you down and makes you more aware of what you're doing. And it calms instantly. The second thing to do is something called sighing. So I would say if you're feeling stressed, take a big breath in through your nose, take a second top-up breath in on top, and then breathe out really slowly. Immediately relaxes you. If you're feeling that acute panic, nervousness, anxiety. And the final thing, lots of people will have talked about this, is box breathing. Box breathing was a technique developed by the Navy SEALs. And essentially it is breathing in and out. So alternating a breath in, a pause, a breath out, and a pause. And imagine you're drawing a box each time and counting to 5 in your head as you do each side. So breathe in over 5, imagine you're drawing the bottom of the box. Hold your breath for 5, imagine you're drawing a side. Breathe out over 5, imagine you're drawing the top. And then hold again for 5. Again, doing that over and over again diffuses those feelings of fizziness, that anxiety.
Ranj, these are such good tips.
Lots of stuff like that.
This is good, and he just knows them. He just got them at the end of his fingertips. Just about learning. Do you believe that continual learning is essential for overall happiness and fulfillment?
I don't think it necessarily carries the same importance and weight for everybody, but for me, certainly what I found is my growth comes out of my comfort zone. So I need to push myself and learn to do things.
And can I sort of make an observation? You strike me as somebody who's constantly showing that it's almost like you have to live your most authentic, truest life.
Yes.
And I really want to ask you a question about coming out as an Indian man, because I don't think people understand it's very difficult for a lot of people. Yeah. And it all depends on the culture you grew up in, but not just Indian culture, because again, there's so many different.
Absolutely.
But specifically Punjabi, kind of working class background. Yeah. How hard was that? And how did you do it? Can we talk about it, first of all?
Yeah, so I grew up kind of thinking my happiness was going to look a certain way. I thought life happiness was going to be getting married, having a family, having a job, and all that kind of stuff. All the things you kind of dream of as a kid. And as I grew up, realized that wasn't actually me, and that wasn't where my happiness was going to be. But, I met someone, I got married, we had several lovely years together, but unfortunately it wasn't right for me. And I think I came to the realization that I wasn't 100% happy. I was happy, but it wasn't enough. And to be 100% happy, you have to be 100% yourself. And that's when, difficult decisions had to be made, and that relationship broke down. And I describe it as fracturing, shattered into a million pieces, then had to get those pieces back together again and rediscover who I was, reinvent myself, as it were, as the real me this time, or trying to learn the real me.
Takes a lot of courage.
It took a lot of courage. It took a lot of heartache and pain. It took a lot of counselling. And it took a lot of truth and honesty and facing up to really hard stuff. And a time when everything and a lot of people around you may not be telling you that that's okay. And growing up in a world where I was told that it wasn't okay, we'd joke about, that's gay as a joke. It's not a joke. It's being authentic. And I feel like we're better at this now, maybe, and we have more, maybe society has moved on a little bit more. It still has a lot to do, but being able to be yourself and being authentic, particularly when you come from certain cultures and communities, it's life-saving for some people, and it was life-saving for me. I've never been happier, but it meant I had to go through one of the worst times of my life, probably, to get there.
How were your parents? How accepting were they?
Do you know what? I don't know how. They are wonderful people. They grew up in a very different time and society to me. They didn't grow up in this world that I've grown up in. So for them, getting their head around it, I think it has been and still is, to a certain extent, quite tricky. They were the people that I was most scared of talking to about it, but they were also the people that I most needed to hear talk about it.
Yeah.
And the best thing that they said was, it doesn't matter, you are still our family. We still love you. And that's what every queer kid wants to hear. Is you're not going to reject me. You're not going to throw me away for who I am, because I can't do anything about who I am. I can't be somebody else because, you could argue that I tried and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I can't be something I'm not. Please just love me for who I am. And I wish everyone would do that.
We love you for who you are. Also, you talked about representation earlier. Like it's vital that young Asian men see you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's vital that all kids see you, all young people, all of us see you, but particularly for that demographic, it's really important.
It's important, I think, for young men, particularly young men of colour, to be able to see people being themselves.
Correct, yeah.
Publicly. And also, do you know what? And see people being happy.
Yeah.
So many queer stories are surrounded in pain and rejection and negative feelings. It's nice to see people being happy. We have a degree of responsibility, I think, if you have a public platform. And I had to show people that you can and show it to them. And now I'm hoping my nephews and my godkids look at that and say, yeah, do you know what? Maybe I can do that.
Do what I want.
Do what I love.
Be who I want. Also, this kind of box that we're meant to live, the kind of get married, it's just so narrow.
Conventional.
So small.
Be unconventional. I keep saying that.
It's like literally, is that it?
Yeah.
Are these the life options? Hang on, what about all the vast...
Break the mold. There's so much more that you could see, do and explore. Just colour outside the lines.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Let's talk about gaming and how we finally unwind after a busy day and keep on top of our physical health. Really important stuff. So in terms of your personal wellness, what's your number one tip to keep fit? Because you've got a busy schedule. You look great. You've obviously been
That's being on a musical theatre tour for 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, you're so in shape. Like, tell me, and your skin is glowing. Your eyes always sparkle.
Oh,
your hair is always perfect. So tell me about your routine.
For me, I'm not one of those people who likes going to the gym. I hate the word exercise. I find it's exclusive because not everyone can afford to go to the gym or has the time to go to the gym, because we've all got various pressures and abilities. It's scary. Gyms are sometimes full of, people who look a certain way and do certain things, and it doesn't make everyone feel comfortable. So I prefer the term physical activity and movement. I like that because I feel it's more inclusive. But I don't like going and exercise. I don't like doing those things. I don't like running. I find it really... I used to at one point, but then I started finding it really boring. So I walk. I do lots of walks, walk as much as I can. And I walk At pace. I am mince, as I like to call it.
That's a good image. Are you listening to something?
Oh, yeah,
what are you
always
listening
to music. Mince
but
to
what?
music. Oh, a good banger, a pop banger. I love a pop banger. Music of Max Martin. Fantastic.
Oh, like peak pop.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Wasn't he Mr. Backstreet Boys?
He was Mr.
Yeah,
Backstreet
yeah,
Boys, but a bit of Beyonce in your ears when you're having a mince. But also, for me, I found that if you can combine physical activity with pleasure, that is the perfect form of exercise, because you need to want to do it, you need to maintain it, and you need to love it.
And you've got your watch on?
Yeah, I've got my watch on. Dancing has become my thing. Dancing. I became, weirdly, one of the gaps in the pandemic, I became a spin instructor because
As you
it
do.
combined music and movement together for pleasure and for health.
Most of us just go to the odd spin class. We don't then.
Yeah.
How do you qualify to become a spin instructor?
I just started doing it, and I started working at my local gym and doing a couple of classes, and then, I did things like Zumba, which is, one of these exercise
Love it.
dance classes that you can do. I love to dance. I'll do it socially, but I know that for me, growing up in a culture where food and music were two of the most amazing things we have and did as a celebration.
Yeah.
Dancing came as part of my being, and I love it. For me, that's my key keep fit thing. Find that physical activity that you love, and for me, it's dancing. So go and dance.
Love
Makes
it.
you feel good.
I love how you went from dancing to dance. That's the north-south thing.
It's coming in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's dancing.
Dance.
Are you dancing? Are you asking? Always. So you're a mental health advocate.
Yeah, it's kind of part and parcel of my job, I think, yeah.
Yeah, because you work with children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not just in telly, you're
Exactly.
Emergency paediatrician. So what advice would you give to parents about introducing technology to their children in a healthy way? And yeah, because this is
It's huge.
Because there's so much debate around this. I just wonder where you sit on this.
I think the landscape is going to change. I think the legislation is going to change, because as much as technology has a wonderfully positive impact in our lives, we need to be aware of the downsides. And we've seen some of that play out, particularly with things like social media. And I think that social media and young people, we have to be very careful. I mean, everyone has different rules. Everyone has a different setup. My personal belief is be very careful about introducing technology at too early an age. And if you are going to do it as a group thing, do it as something you do with your child. Don't use it instead of you, if you know what I mean. It's so tempting, and we all do it, to use the iPad as a babysitter because it keeps them quiet for a bit and it's fantastic. But if the most beneficial thing you can do with, for instance, screen time in your child is to do something with them. So use it as a mechanism to work with your kid, as opposed to using it as a substitute for you. And I'm going to sound preachy to parents and carers out there, and I don't mean to. I know how hard it is to parent. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've worked with it.
Day in, day out, yeah.
But if you can use technology as a conduit to do things with your kid, that's even better. The other thing that technology has done is given opportunity and opened up a world to kids who are less able-bodied and wouldn't be able to do the stuff that other kids necessarily be able to do. So it's opened that world up to them, which is fantastic. But be careful about, when it comes to social media, introducing it too early an age, because as positive as it can be, there are huge downsides that we need to be aware of. Like you would with anything else you introduce to your child, be aware of those things and be mindful of it and oversee that kind of stuff.
Very good advice. So how do you ensure in your own life that you get plenty of offline time with you and your now officially public partner, James?
How do we ensure we get enough offline time? Probably don't get enough offline time, to be honest.
Seriously?
I have a work-life balance, not a work-life balance.
No, well, let's talk about that. So he's obviously very tolerant then.
Yeah, but I think we've both got really busy lives, and
Yeah.
we both understand the importance of things that we have to do. Actually, we try and do a lot of it together. Simply just, it could be sitting and working in the same space together sometimes. At least you've got that person there. Sharing and being interested in each other's work takes away some of the monotony and the sort of have to do it of it. But also just actually, you've got to sometimes just build in time into your diary, like you schedule everything else in your diary. You may just have to build in off time in your diary as well. Fortunately, it helps that we both have similar loves and passions.
Like what? What do you do together?
We both like theatre. We both like dancing. We both like music. we both love watching, cheesy Netflix and all that kind of stuff.
What's cheesy? Come on, how cheesy?
What have I started watching lately? Oh, we're rewatching Smash, which was the series that was on ages ago together. We're both nerds. We love a bit of Lord of the Rings. We love a bit of all of that kind of stuff. And I think that's really important. Don't forget that you can be yourself as well, even if you're with someone.
Oh, you have to be. Gosh.
Yeah.
Life's too short to be with somebody you can't be yourself in front of, right? Right. So before we jump into your bright list choice, let's have a little fun. I've got 3 quick fire dilemmas. So how would you handle these in the moment? So no overthinking, okay? Just your instinctive answers. Here we go. All right. Dr. Ranj, are you ready? I'm putting you on the spot. Quick fire.
I'm ready.
Okay, you've been working non-stop and your phone is blowing up with work-related messages. Do you respond now or set boundaries and turn it off?
I'm one of the people that deals with it in the moment. See and sort. That's why I work in A&E. See and sort. That's my mentality. If you can do it now, get it done quickly. If you can do it quickly, get it out of the way.
What about your phone incessant, all the messages non-stop, emails non-stop?
My feeling is I'm still going to have to deal with it at some stage. So if I can deal with something quickly now and get it out of the way and minimize the brain space that it requires, I'll do it. If it requires a bit more, I'll say not yet.
Very good. Okay, you've been invited to a party you're not interested in, but the host is a close friend. Do you go to be supportive or skip it and give an excuse?
Go. Life's too short to pass on parties. That's what I've discovered. Go and have fun. You will
But what if
never
it's cold and you've just come home and your house is all warm and toasty?
Who regrets having fun? No one ever regrets having fun. So go and do more of it.
You're asked to join a group chat with people you barely know. Do you accept to be polite, decline, or silently lurk in the join?
I hate group chats, I must admit. I feel like sometimes they are really useful. I'm not going to lie, they can be really helpful if you're organising something. But there are so many group chats. And I hate being added to new ones. And I'm like, it just means I'm just going to get message after message after message that I don't need to read. So I'm one of those people that actively tries not to reply all and actively tries not to message too much in groups unless it's really good fun or really important. But I'm inclined to say don't add me to a group unless I really need to be there, just because I am trying to make most efficient use of my brain space.
Also, it's Dr. Ranj. He's busy.
Oh, well.
He doesn't need it.
We try to be.
You do not need to know. You don't need to know.
I'm one of those people who's started to become do I need to know this?
You don't need to know.
Is it important and is it fun? And if it's neither of those things, you probably don't need to know it.
So you have a choice between a film, song, album, TV show, game, any piece of media that has inspired you to live a little brighter or given you a great life hack. So what is that for you, Dr. Ranj? And what lesson or joy did you take from it? Could be absolutely anything. Piece of art.
It's got to be music, obviously. It's got to be, I'm obsessed with music.
So give us a rec, come on.
You know what? A timeless classic that I think anyone can listen to and possibly fall in love with is You Got to Be by Desiree. There's something about that song. I always come back to it. I always come back to it. And I'm like, if you're feeling a bit glum, if you're feeling a bit sort of, directionless, if you're feeling over the moon and a bit joyful, listen to it. It makes you feel good. Do you know what? At the end of the day, it says, whatever will be yourself. Everyone's telling you to be X, Y, and Z. Be you. And yeah, push the boundaries, challenge things, do what makes you happy. And it just reminds me sometimes of, it's all right.
I just think it's such a beautiful song.
Yeah, it's so good,
I've got it going on in my head now. I love Desiree as well. What a voice.
Right.
And finally, what's next for you? What's going on?
Gosh, so I am still on the tour of Anne Juliet. We're going around the UK and Ireland until the summer of 2025. I am renovating a property, a 200-year-old water tower up north, just north of Manchester in Bury. And I am writing an encyclopedia for kids on the human body at the moment. Those are the 3 things I'm focusing on, plus a few other little bits that crop up here and there. But that's what 2025 is for me so far.
Oh, I want to wish you all the best. I want to wish you joy and happiness in the year ahead, and just keep sparkling like you really do sparkle. Your eyes do. There's a light coming out from within you.
It's great lighting,
I have loved it. It is good lighting. I've loved it. I know, like, I feel like we need to just get up and have a little dance. Can we? Because we both love it. Should we just do it?
It needs music, Anita.
So that's it for another episode of Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, brought to you by EE. Please join me next time for more conversation where I uncover the tips and tricks to live a brighter and better life. And if you want to hear more about EE's bright tech ideas to help make everyday life that little bit easier, visit telegraph.co.uk/smartlife. There's lots of smart advice, from setting up parental controls to keep your kids safe online, to making sure you never run out of data when you need it most. Until next time.